Hi guys, in this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to take some free graphics that are vector files, and don't worry if you don't know what a vector file is, and be able to take them into a paint program and be able to color them. Okay, so first you want to get your free vector. So vector basically means it's going to be like an illustration. Typically it's going to be black line art, but it can really be almost any color. And so what you can do is open up your web browser and type in free vector and then whatever it is you're looking for. And in this example I'm looking for a border, something that I can put on my website, maybe over here on the left or the right hand side. Okay, now if I just go ahead and do a straight up image search, I'm going to find a whole bunch of stuff, and here it is right here. The only problem with these files is that even though if I find one that I like it's actually got a white background. And so what I want is I want a transparent background so that I get just the line art and no background behind it. So the way to do that is when you do an image search, come over here and click on Tools, click on Color, and make sure you choose Transparent so you get a transparent background. So even though you can't see the transparent background here, these all theoretically have no background. So okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and try this one here as my example. So when I click on it here, you'll see in this view I've got the checkerboard, and that means transparent. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the image, and I'm going to go ahead and download it. So here's my download here. Normally this is on Pixabay, so I can just download it freely. Normally if you find it on somebody else's site, you would then right mouse click, you would then save image as, and you could then go ahead and save it to your desktop. Here on Pixabay I'm just going to go ahead and click on free download. I'll hit download, make sure I'm not a robot, and hit download. Now mine is downloading right to my desktop. Yours might be downloading to your downloads folder. Now I'm on a Mac, but these steps should be pretty much the same on a Windows computer. Okay, so on a Mac you're going to go to your downloads folder, and you would look inside your downloads folder, and this is probably where it's going to be. And you can either leave it in your downloads folder or you can take it out. I'm going to go ahead and take it on the desktop. Now the next step is you would bring this into a paint program of your choice. I'm doing this video primarily for my students at our school, so I'm going to use software that we have. The software that we have at our school that could do this would be Photoshop, ArtRage, and we have one called Krita that could do this. I'm going to use ArtRage because ArtRage specializes in natural media, so things like watercolors and oil paints and felt pens and pastels and all that kind of cool stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fire up ArtRage. Okay, so when ArtRage loads up, I'm going to do File, and I'm going to choose Import Image File. In other programs that would just be like File Open and you just open the image, but ArtRage is a little bit different the way that it words it. So I'm going to click on my desktop, I'm going to go find my image, and there it is. If you don't see it on your desktop, then it's in your downloads folder. So I'm going to click on Open, and there it is there. And you can see it's got the transparent background, so that's all great. And so I've got some closed in shapes here, kind of semi-closed in. They're not totally closed in. Okay, so I'm going to open up my layers panel, and I'm going to add a new layer. And I'm going to take that new layer, and I'm going to go ahead and choose a brush. And I'll choose a color, choose like a light blue. Now unfortunately I don't have a pen and a tablet here, so it's not going to be the most accurate paint job here, but you'll see that I'm basically filling in this particular spot here. And then I can change my color, and I can of course go ahead and try changing a whole bunch of other things. Now you'll see that my paint is going over the black line art, and that's because if you look over here in layers, my paint layer is on top of my vector layer. So simply just left click, drag down, and now it's underneath. And as long as I have my paint layer selected, I can come over here and I can choose the eraser, and I can just, clean up and do a little bit of trimming, make sure it's just right. I can even, poke a hole in the middle of it if I want. And there we go. So I'll go ahead and do one more here. This time maybe I'll use an oil brush just to get some brush texture in there. Okay, so you can kind of play around with it, and again, I'm not being terribly accurate. Maybe something like that. Okay, and I'll go in and I'll erase. Okay, so let's say that's it. That's all I want to do with this. Okay, so I'm going to do File, and I'm going to, normally you would do File Save Painting, and that would save it as an ArtRage painting. If you were doing this in Photoshop, you'd want to save it as a Photoshop file. And what this step does is it saves it with all of your layers. So even though I only have 2 layers, it's really good to save it this way, so that way you can come back to it. So save it as a Photoshop file, or save it as an ArtRage painting, or create a project, whatever you want. And that way, if you want to change anything, you certainly can. One cool thing in ArtRage I'll show you, and you can do this in any paint program, Photoshop and Krita, is that let's say I like this line art here, the leaves and the vines, but I'm not crazy that it's black. Maybe I want some different colors in there. What I can do is I can select the layer. I can come up here to the top right where you see the little layer lock, and I'm going to choose Lock Transparency. And what that's going to allow me to do, I'm going to choose green so you can really see this here. So what this is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to lock the transparency. So anywhere where there are transparent pixels, I cannot paint because they're locked. So if I try to draw out here in the middle, I can't do anything. But as soon as I brush over where there's already ink, which is the vine and the leaves, you'll see that I can completely recolor it very easily. And the cool thing about doing this in ArtRage is that I get the brush texture. So now I'm getting, the bristles of the oil paint, and it looks a little bit more hand done. And you can do this with any brush. I'll go ahead and undo all that. You can get this. I can do watercolor, and I can get some nice smearing and blending effects, and do some really cool stuff. And last but not least, before we finish this up, if I just want a flat color, I would use the ink pen down here, and then make my brush size a little bit bigger, and then just completely just blow right through it, and you can see that I can change it to any color I want, and then there we go. Alright, so maybe I'll just make this leaf green here, something like that. Okay. Alright, so how do I get it out of here and bring it to my website? So now I do File, and I'm going to choose Export Image File, and I'm going to save it to the desktop so I can find it again. You want to make sure that the file format is set to PNG, PNG, Portable Network Graphic File. PNG is going to allow you to keep that transparent background. So now here's the original name followed by .png, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call it border. I'll call it Vine Border Final. There we go. And that's it. I'll minimize ArtRage, go back to my web browser, and I'll go to my website. Okay, so now I'll do Add Image, go to My Image Uploads, I'll upload my own image, and find it right here, bring it in, let it upload, done, double click, and you can see that it comes in. And because it's a PNG image, it's going to go ahead and it's going to have the transparent background. Now you might be looking at this going, it's not going the full direction, or it's not going the full width. Now if you go ahead and you do something like this, you can go ahead and stretch it out, which is great and all, but you can see that it's getting clipped and whatnot. Those are the settings, so you can click on it and go to the settings here, and let's see, right about here. How's the image resized? And it's set to auto, so if you set it to stretch, there we go. So now it is fitting, but it's also getting distorted. So to fit this, I would have to probably elongate this a little bit, make it a little taller so it's not quite so warped. So that's looking a little better. And now if I hit preview, okay, so that's pretty nice. Now, if you need to do anything more with the dimensions of this, then you would have to take it and do some more advanced stuff in Photoshop or ArtPage to really get it to fit. But that's it in a nutshell. So, and you can do anything you want with colors. You just have to play around with those paint programs. So I hope this helps you out, and I'll see you next time.